Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the Inner Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Carolina, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening today because we're going to be talking about something really important, and that is how to break out of a 0 to 100 pattern, aka how to stop being in a pattern of always falling off of the routines that you try to build and always feeling like you need to start over or start fresh. This is so freaking common. It's especially common amongst my one-on-one inner growth coaching clients. It comes up a lot because most of my clients, if not all of them, are perfectionists. And I'm also a recovering perfectionist, and also a lot of our listeners are recovering perfectionists. And this is just something that happens. It's just something that happens. So it's important to bring awareness to this pattern, understand how it happens, and then understand how to stop it, how to break out of it so that you can build momentum and stay more consistent with your habits and see actual results, and also feel more confident and proud of yourself in the process. It's a whole thing and it's beautiful. So we're going to dive into it today. I hope you enjoy. I hope it brings you value, and I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and to the point so that it's the most clear for you to understand. So with all that said, let's jump into it and let's get growing. I'm going to start out by just explaining what typically tends to happen with a 0 to 100 pattern and why it really even happens in the first place, right? So what I see online as a holistic health coach quite a lot is a lot of content where people are sharing their step-by-step routines, whether it's a morning routine, a workout, a meal plan, something like that. And they make you feel like you need to do things exactly as they do in order to be healthy. So you start to put all this pressure on yourself, right? Okay, for me to be healthy or for me to be my best self, I need to do this and 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 this, right? For example, I need to wake up at 6 a.m., drink water, get changed, have a pre-workout, go to the gym, do an hour-long workout, meditate, then shower, then do a full-step skincare routine, then do this, and then have a breakfast with this many grams of protein, and then go about my day doing this and have this much stuff done on my to-do list, and la 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 la. Basically, we think that we need to check all of these things off of a little to-do list or of a step-by-step checklist in order to quote-unquote be healthy. Now, the truth about being healthy and being your healthiest self and feeling like your best self is that we are all different, and it really is important for you to take into account your life circumstances, where you're coming from, what is your normal day-to-day routine. If you just don't even think about wellness, like what's your work life like? What are your work hours? Do you have kids? What time do you usually wake up? Do you have a schedule that's the same every day? Do you have to commute to work? Do you work from home? Like, there's so many different things that play a part into our individual experiences, and therefore, we need to figure out what works for us based on that. Not based on what we see online, what we see other people talking about. Of course, we can take inspiration and ideas, and I think it's great to consume content on social media for that, but you have to be very mindful not to fall to the pressure of feeling like you have to do all these things. Now, the reason that a 0 to 100 approach tends to lead to us feeling like we are failing and always coming back to day one, to restarting, is that we try to do too much at once, right? Maybe you have a baseline where you're not really doing that much for your health right now, or you're doing a couple things, but you feel like you should be doing so much more. And then you start to put this pressure on yourself of like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start, or like on January 1st or on Monday, I'm going to start and I'm going to do all of these things, or I'm going to do the 75 hard challenge, or I'm going to do this meal plan and I'm going to buy all the groceries and I'm going to meal prep for 2 hours on Sunday and I'm going to do all these things. And we overburden ourselves with things to do, which most of the time ends up being pretty unsustainable, right? So we put all this pressure on ourselves. We're like, okay, we have to do all of this stuff. And then what happens? Okay, maybe you do it for like a couple days, maybe a week, but then something happens. Life happens, you have a doctor's appointment, you're running late one day, you're tired, you haven't given your body enough time to adapt to the new workout routine that you're trying, and you're feeling exhausted, but you're not getting enough rest, so you're feeling fatigued every single day, and it's feeling hard to show up for these things. Like, something happens, and then what ends up happening after that? You maybe fall off of this step-by-step plan that you've been trying to keep up with, that you've been trying to stay consistent with. And then you feel like a failure. And then you beat yourself up and you're like, God dang it, I suck. Like, I can't keep this up. This is so annoying. I am so bad at this. Why is everyone else so good at this on the internet? Why can't I just seem to get it? And then the inner critic gets really loud and we're telling ourselves all these things. And then we feel zero motivation to pick it back up. If this sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. This is so freaking common. And the key thing here is not that you are not capable of living a healthy lifestyle, that you're not capable of feeling like your best and doing healthy habits and taking care of your body, your mind, your soul. Like, you are more than capable. I know that for a fact. And if you really choose to put your mind on something, you can do it. You can. But the approach that you take matters more than you think. And if you are someone who tends to want, to just do this full plan all at once, I would bet that you probably end up falling to the pattern of dropping it off at some point and then feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to start over. It's so much work. I already messed up. I might as well keep messing up. And then you go a few days doing none of those things. And then you let some time pass and you feel even worse about that. And then you wait and wait and wait until you then eventually start again. And then the same thing happens. So you're just constantly in this little rat race of trying to start again, of, embracing this like fresh start. Because fresh starts are great. Like, I personally think, like, I myself really enjoy the feeling of like a new beginning, fresh slate, right? And that can be very common among perfectionists because when something is new and fresh, there's nothing wrong with it yet, right? There's no difficulties, there's no challenges. There's no need for you to be flexible or adaptable. When you're first starting something, it's brand new. It's bare soil. You can plant whatever seed you want. But what matters more isn't planting the seeds, it's getting to actually water them. And if you plant a freaking massive garden all at once, you yourself, by yourself, can't possibly water all of those seeds every single day to the best of your ability. That's just not realistic. And something I have really had to learn in my own journey is how to be more realistic with the goals that I set, with the intentions that I make, and with my approach to health and wellness. So if you want to break out of a 0 to 100 pattern, if you want to stop feeling so frustrated with yourself, and if you want to stop feeling like you're constantly having to start over and over and over, you need to learn to set smaller goals. You need to put less pressure on yourself, and you need to understand that missing a day, like accidentally, something happens and you can't make it to your workout that day, that is not a reason for you to drop out of this entire plan that you had. Just show up again the next day. But again, it's easier to show up the next day if you're building it little by little by little. There's a lot of things that I do for my health and wellness today, a lot more than I have done in the past, honestly, but I wasn't able to build them all at once. I started with one, and eventually, after some time of doing this one thing really well, I was then able to build something else. And I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but something that really demonstrated the power of this approach to me was when I started working with my gut healing doctor and doing my supplement protocol to heal my gut, which started in April of 2024. There was a lot of new supplements that I had to add in. But I didn't add them all in on the first day. I added one on the first day. Then I took that for like a couple of days. Then I added the second one. And then I kept building that, like one by one by one. I also bought a little supplement box and I would just lay it out day by day. And there were days where something happened, I forgot, I didn't have my little box with me. I just got back to it the next day. And then I was able to keep up with my protocol. And now I'm like almost done. I have about 2 months left. But it's been a journey. And I could have easily fallen to perfectionism and been like, oh my gosh, I didn't do the protocol perfectly today. I should just forget about it. Or whatever. I can't do it at all. And then not take any of the supplements. Like, I wouldn't have gotten very far if that was my approach. And that's what I'm trying to leave you with, is understanding that a little bit goes a way longer way. And so if you are starting this new year and you're like, okay, I really want to feel like my best self this year, I really want to take better care of my health, I would encourage you to have this approach to your goals, right? Start off with one or two things. Like, for example, let's say you want to just start working out. Like, let's say you're not working out at all. Ask yourself, okay, given my routine right now, my work or school responsibilities, my family responsibilities, my home responsibilities, everything that I already have on my plate, what is realistic for me to do every single week? Okay, maybe right now, that's 2 workouts a week. Perfect. Do that. Do 2 workouts a week and decide which kinds of workouts. Maybe it's 2 home workouts, so it's super easy, or it's 2 walks. Start with that. Once you've been doing that for like a month straight, then you can say, okay, maybe I can add an extra day if it feels aligned. Maybe you just stick with 2. And then you can say, okay, you know what? I actually want to drink a little bit more water. So then you buy yourself a little water bottle and you start integrating that. You leave it next to your bed. You bring it with you to work, etc. And you focus on that. And then little by little by little, you're going to start having this arsenal of habits that you're consistent with and that feel really, really good. And I'm telling you, this is going to take you so much farther because as you start to do this, you're going to feel way more proud of yourself. And you're going to build consistency. And you're then going to start seeing the results that you want to see. The boost in energy, the, excitement about the progress, or even just creating momentum itself can be super motivating. And there's an analogy that I always share in my coaching calls that always resonates with my clients and just hits the spot. So I'm going to share it right now in hopes that it hits with you too. A lot of different apps out there have this model of building a streak. And the perfect example of an app that does this is Duolingo, right? Because it relates to learning a new skill. So you do 1 day of Duolingo. Okay, great. Great job. 1 day. Then you do Duolingo again a second time. Then you do it a third time. And then you keep building this streak of doing Duolingo X many days in a row. Now, let's say you did 100 days of Duolingo. And then one day something happens and you don't do it. And then you go back on the app and it's like, oop, sorry, you're back to day 0. You lost all your progress. And this is something so many people feel and even tell themselves like, oh my gosh, all my progress is lost now. But it's not lost. If you had put a sticky note on your wall every single day that you did Duolingo, you would still have 100 sticky notes. And okay, you missed day 101, but if you do it the next day, it's still your 101. It's not your day 1 again. So stop seeing your habits, your health intentions from this lens of like, what matters is the streak. What matters is how many days in a row you do something. Because what matters more is your ability to just get back into it. That's how you just build on top of a habit and start to see results. And this is really, really simple, but it's also way easier said than done. Like you have to put this into practice. You have to get over your inner critic when it gets loud and tells you that you failed. You have to get over the pressure that you usually put on yourself to do everything all at once. You have to stop trying to follow a plan and check everything off every single day. You have to stop trying to do 10 million things on day 1. And you have to instead speak more kindly to yourself. Get over it if you miss a day and just say it's not a big deal. Like, I'll just do it tomorrow. No problem. Another analogy that I often share in my coaching is imagine you bought a new plant, right? And you're like, okay, now I'm going to be a plant mom. And you say, okay, I'm going to have this perfect watering schedule. I'm going to take care of the plant perfectly every single day. Or like this day and this day and this day every single week. But then again, one day you accidentally forget or something happens, you go on a trip, whatever, or you simply just forget. You could easily fall to, oh, frick, like I suck. Why do I even try? Like I clearly can't own a plant. I can't take care of plants by myself. Like, oh, I suck. And then you stop watering the plant. What happens? The plant dies. The plant will wither away, it will dry up, and it will die. And you won't be a plant mom. But if instead you said, oh, frick, I forgot to water it yesterday. Let me just do it right now. Or let me just do it later today. Like, let me just get it done. In the long scheme of things, it's going to make no difference. The plant is still going to bloom. It's still going to grow. It's still going to keep doing its thing. right? So it's just about making the days where you don't show up for something less of a big deal in your head and building the muscle of just doing it even if it wasn't perfect. Doing it even if you quote unquote missed a day or messed up. Whew, you didn't mess up. You just missed a day. That's all that happened. And so I hope that this resonated with you. And I think this is such an important thing for us all to remember, especially going into the new year. I also don't know about you guys, but I'm coming out of a period of physical, mental, and low-key emotional burnout. Like all of December was insane for me. And so I'm starting off my year pretty slow. I'm starting out my year slower than my routine and my lifestyle has been in a minute. And I'm okay with it. I'm trying to just make peace with that and lean into it because it's feeling good and it's what my body is asking me for. Now, if you're starting your year and you're like on fire, fully energized, ready to go you. Like lean on that and use it to your advantage and keep going. But there is no pressure. There is no pressure to jump in on January 1st and do all these things. Like, it's okay. Also, the astrologer in me needs to say this, but we are starting this year on a Mars retrograde, and Mars is the planet of action. So right now, some of the actions that you're taking might feel like they're not giving you the results that you want. It's going to take a little while for this energy to shift. Like Mars is not going to be going direct until the end of February. So I'm being super compassionate with myself and giving myself a lot of grace, and I'm really not putting the pressure on myself to just get all this stuff done all at once and to have the clarity on everything that I want to do in 2025 right now. I'm letting myself ease into it, ease into this new year. It's my first official year since the wedding. It's, it's a new beginning after a lot of change that happened for me in 2024 and a lot of like positive chaos. So I'm just embracing it. And I am right now giving you permission to go slow as well if you need to. If this episode resonated with you, if it helped you, you can drop a comment on Spotify. If you're not yet subscribed, definitely subscribe on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And we also share a bunch of resources on Instagram at innergrowth.co. You can follow me at the Carolina Lifestyle. Something else too is I've had Inner Growth as a podcast since March of 2021. So we're coming up on 4 years, which is crazy. It used to be called Luna, and then it became Inner Growth in November 2022. So it's been Inner Growth for 2 years and a bit. But if you are a listener that has tuned in for a few episodes, it would actually mean the world to me if you just went on Apple, left a review, or left a star ranking on Spotify, or subscribed and hit the bell icon. Those are just little ways to signal to Spotify and Apple that you enjoy the podcast, that it's giving you value, and to just give back to Inner Growth. It would mean a lot to me. It takes literally like 30 seconds, maybe, and a minute. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And here's to a beautiful 2025. I love you guys so much. And I will see you next week. Sending you a big hug from New York.